Welcome back to another episode of Hot Pizza Ass Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Darling Taralva, and I know that last episode that I released was a little bit sad, so we are going to really lift the energy up with a very special guest that I thought you guys would love. Her name is Jessica Michelle Singleton, and you've seen her around at the Comedy Store or possibly on the road. She is a stand-up comic, an actress, a writer, a podcaster, and she also released a single this year called Now I Need Whiskey, which was almost nominated for a Grammy. Pretty crazy for a first-time songwriter. She tells the whole story on the podcast, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the wonderful, hilarious, and super entertaining Jessica Michelle Singleton. But before we get into that, I need to first give a shout out to my partners at Ease. If you are over 21 years old in the state of California, you can get flour, vapes delivered, or edibles straight to your door thanks to Ease. My favorite aspect about Ease is that it makes it very easy to support female-owned brands and also BIPOC-owned brands. And my favorite thing is Dreamt, where I take their edibles and I sleep so well every single night. It is a Latina female-owned brand and honestly, some of the best products I've ever used in my life. So thank you so much for helping me sleep a little bit easier at night. It's definitely part of my self-love and self-care routine. And now you can use my code DARLING30 for a discount off of your first order if you are over 21 in the state of California. Without further ado, here is Jessica Michelle Singleton. So my last episode was a solo episode, and I was talking about going through a breakup.
Oh, no!
It was very sad.
Immediately blew out the speaker.
This is exactly why I wanted you on, because I was like, I need to bring some like happiness and energy onto the show after releasing such a downer of an episode.
Well, unfortunately, I'm going through a break. I'm not. Oh, my God. Well, good for you for sharing that and being so vulnerable. And yeah, I'll be your happy clown.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I mean, my poor audience, I just felt so bad for them. I was like, shit, they're listening to me cry.
Oh, my God. I think the last episode I did of my podcast, I'm on like a little break, but I just talked about my dad dying. So same.
Yeah.
And I think everything when you're trying to like keep it together and you're like, this is too vulnerable. This is like, why am I sobbing into the mic?
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, that sound. I'm like, I miss him.
You know what's weird but also kind of cool about podcasting and doing solo episodes specifically is kind of like, I feel like it's almost like a diary.
Yes, I think so too.
And
it's
time
like,
capsule.
I think that's why people like them, but then it's just wild being like, what did I say? I feel every podcast I've ever been a guest on or done is like a blackout afterwards. Like for sure, I will one day get canceled for something that I go, I didn't even know I said that.
I feel like everyone will.
Yeah.
We're all on the road to cancellation somehow.
It's so fucking stupid. But yeah, because you just get, especially if you're with someone you're comfortable with and you just start spouting off because it feels like a conversation.
Yeah.
And I do feel like when you do those solo ones, it is this extra layer of talking out what's going on in your brain. And for me, that's very helpful because my brain's an ADHD like scattered nightmare. So then it does become very diary like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever leave yourself voice notes?
I've started to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be more of a write it down. And now, especially because I made a country song last year. I mean, I think this is more embarrassing than personal notes, is that I'll now have ideas for songs. I've written one song. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to do more. And I'll just sing into my stupid voice memos. And I'm like, God forbid I do nothing with this. I die and someone finds these. And they're just like, what's this voice memo? And it's just me being like, watermelons. And you're like, what? What?
That's honestly one of my biggest fears, is that like someone finds a diary that I wrote, or I die, God forbid. And then someone like projects their own like meaning or into something that I wrote that I was like, I don't even know what state I was in that day.
Oh yeah, morning pages.
Right. My morning pages are like insane.
Oh yeah, it's just like everyone's morning. If anyone who does morning pages, it looks like a manifesto.
I know. It's so bad.
And then half of my morning pages is just me being like, I shouldn't be doing this. I have a lot to get done. And it was like, shut the fuck up, me.
That's exactly how mine look all the time. It's like, I don't like doing this. I have nothing to say. I don't want to do morning pages. And I'm like, I think what I'm learning from morning pages is that I fucking hate morning pages.
Yeah. You're like, what? Why am I trying to do the artist's way?
Yeah.
God damn it.
The artist's way is clearly just not my way.
Yeah. I'm not an artist, I guess. I'm just a busy bee.
But
I don't
speaking
fucking know.
of art and of music, like you wrote a song and you were in like the running for a Grammy nomination.
Yeah.
For your first song?
It's wild. It's so insane. Didn't get it. Fuck you, Grammys. I'm just kidding. Don't let me in. But it was really weird. I was like, why am I even on this list? Like, what's going on? And it's all these like superstars.
Yeah.
And then among them was me. And that was really fun. I was like, okay, that kind of is what made me go, maybe I should do a little bit more with this. Like, I don't know where it'll go. And I had fun with it. And I'm like, okay, well, enough people like the song that this happened. So I might as well, I don't know. I'm going to try to make more. I think I'm going to do an EP or something next year.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. If I can wrangle my like coked out friend who's a producer, then I'm like, can you just fucking text me back, you bitch? But
if you do an EP, is it going to be all country songs?
I think so.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm country. Like, and it's like, I feel like I've had to come out about that because people are like, oh, country. Like, are you making fun of it? And I'm like, no, I like country. But I feel like in LA, people are like, did you just say you had sex with your cousin? And you're like, that's not what I said. I said I like country music. I grew up in southern Mississippi and then Alaska, which is just like country of the north. So it was just all around. So I like the storytelling. I like that. I know that like super music fans don't think it's really like interesting, great. I don't fucking know enough about music to know what like music people consider a good song because I just am like, what do the words say? How's the guitar sound? Like I'm a basic bitch, but yeah, it'll probably be more country.
That's awesome though. I like country too. I think that there's something interesting about the genre itself that's just like, it's so unapologetic.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, wow, you are just really yourself here. That is
Too
horrifying.
much yourself.
It's like, all right, relax, Toby Keith or whatever. But yeah, I like it. I kind of like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes living in LA, and maybe it's not even LA, maybe it's just being on Twitter. There's just a lot of fucking fake ass bullshit in this industry, in this city, and people going like, I believe, and what is the thing that everyone is, what am I supposed to say? What is our opinion? What's the popular opinion? And it's like, I don't know. I don't believe everyone has the same opinion on everything. And there's so many things that I just go like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a country bumpkin. And I like the embracing of, even though like some of the themes of country music don't match up with maybe how I feel or how I live my life, I do like to add to what you're saying. I do like the embracing of like, yeah, I'm not perfect, but like just trying to be happy or whatever. Or even your solo podcast episode, there's like country songs that's what I like about country. So much of what I listen to is like deep, heart-wrenching, like heartbreak songs.
Yeah. Where
it's like, I don't know, that resonates more with me than like, I got my driver's license. And maybe that's because I'm fucking old, but it's like, I don't know. Just like, or the Good For You. I'm just going after Olivia Rodrigo.
I know.
That's what the song I was trying to think of, but like where she's just like, whatever, I don't care. And I'm like, no, I do care. I'm crying in the side of my bed if I get my heart broken. So I don't know.
Yeah, I grew up in Christian school, so yeah.
Shit.
Oh shit, I
Can
know.
I say shit?
You can say whatever you want, but yeah, no, like sometimes I listen to Christian music.
Dude, I love that. I've been talking about, I was raised Catholic and I've been doing bits about it on stage.
Yeah.
And I'll like do bits making fun of the songs we had, but really I'm like, damn, this is a bop. Here I am, Lord. Yeah, that's right. Like,
there are some bops, some Christian bops totally
dude,
exist. Stacey Orico.
Oh my God.
Queen Stacey. I ran into her at the Grove. Like
what?
2 or 3 years ago.
Fangirl out?
Yes, I was there with a friend of mine who actually also happened to go to Christian school as well, but a different one. And he was like, oh my God, I just saw Stacey Orico. And we were just talking about Christian music.
That's
we
so
stopped
funny.
her at the Grove and took a selfie with her.
Okay, I'll be honest. I have no fucking clue who that is, but
Oh man.
but I love. That's so cool that you did that. I also so on the road. I used to do the road in like these long like week stints of like being in my car and driving from town to town and just open road, and I loved it. It was fun, but at the time it was like I just had the radio. Like I had a car that was like didn't have a CD player, just radio. And I feel like I would this is how I know there's really good Christian music, is because I would get tricked into listening to Christian music. I'm like, oh, what's this? This is a bop. And they're like, and Jesus. And I was like, oh, this is about Jesus. Or I thought it was like some fun pop song. I'm like, what's this new hit? And then they just sneak it in on you.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
I feel like we could put like country and Christian, like they might not be in the same bucket, but like they're right next to each other.
Oh, they are definitely,
Yeah.
There's like a big crossover with that Venn diagram.
Yeah, there's some splashing over that happens in this bucket to that bucket. Like it's similar.
Yeah.
So I know what you are going through.
My trauma of loving country music.
Yeah.
Where I could like point out a country singer and people would be like, that woman with the big hair. And I'd be like, that is a celebrity. That woman is a goddess among us. That's Trisha Yearwood. Have some respect.
Who's your favorite artist?
Oh, Garth Brooks, hands down,
Oh, yeah.
is like my top favorite. And that's, I wish I had not a generic answer because he's so great. But there's this, I like a lot of outlaw country too that's not necessarily on the radio a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's guys like Tyler Childers and this guy Jason Isbell, who I fucking, dude, amazing songwriting. And they're just like, talk about every topic. And I think that's maybe why they're not on the radio, because sometimes they'll talk about like drugs or like darker things or whatever. Jason Isbell's voice, okay, if for some reason, and he's pretty popular. I'm not naming someone who's like completely obscure. People in country music or like who like country music will know who that is, but his voice is so magical. I swear to God, when it comes on my Spotify in my car, I like come in my pants. I'm just like, he's just got the most beautiful voice I've ever heard. I'm like, yeah. And then he's just talking about someone dying of cancer or something in a song. And I'm like, yeah, I'm wet. Wait, what did he say? But yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I would have named women. I wish I like women too.
Well, you mentioned Trisha Yearwood.
Oh, she's great.
We threw her in there.
Yeah.
So
I like
there we go.
Do
you like Casey Musgraves?
I do like Casey Musgraves. I like I don't go crazy over her.
Yeah.
She's like, this is as someone who's written one country song. No. she's good. Like the songs I like from her, I really love. But then when I listen to her album, I think she's a little more indie than country, which is fine. That's just not what I like country. Like I want to hear a banjo. I want to hear like that's a real great impression. I want fiddles, and but I do like the words she uses, the stories she tells. I think she's very open and vulnerable and so fucking gorgeous. What the fuck?
Yeah, she's really gorgeous. Yeah, for sure.
It's like I can't even look at her. She's so beautiful.
Yeah, her face looks like a mannequin face.
Yes,
yeah.
like it looks like she was created using AI to be like, we'll make the most perfect country singer ever. And then I love old Taylor Swift. I love old like country Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
where she was talking shit about everyone. Like, God forbid you break her heart, and she's like, well, here's a new album. I'm just gonna drop my dick right here.
I love her. Yeah, for real. I love like even her first stuff, like Tim McGraw, and like you know, she's always been such a good storyteller and songwriter for sure. Like she was like 16, like our song is the same as swing doors.
Yes,
so good.
I think I had her first 3 albums and like on rotation constantly. I loved all of them. Fearless. She's such a great storyteller.
Yeah,
and I like that. It's interesting watching someone grow up in music because you're seeing her evolution, and then like her songs then become these stories about the experience of a woman at a certain age. And so being close to her age, it's like kind of getting to grow up and have someone in theory maybe mimic your experiences through song. Because I remember like Tim McGraw, that was like, I was just graduating high school, I think. Oops, I just aged myself. But like, yeah, it was always these things that seemed pertinent at a time in my life. So that's been really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like Adele is doing the same thing, and like she literally names her albums her age. But I feel like Adele's just always sad. I don't
She's
just
definitely
always like, my heart's still broken. And you're like, okay, well, I know what I'll cry to later.
Yeah, she's going through a lot.
Yeah, always.
Constant.
Poor Adele.
Yeah.
I'm worried about her. No wonder she lost so much weight. She just...
Oh, like she's doing fine.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's blowing her nose into piles of money. She'll be fine.
She looks great, doing great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's like... Yeah, at a certain point, does it become like Eminem at a certain point where you're like, yeah, we get it. You're sad. Talk about something else.
I think I've been seeing these criticisms, I guess, online, like on Instagram and stuff like that over the past, I don't know, 2 weeks ever since she dropped her last album.
Her new album?
Yeah, and I didn't know that people didn't like her. I thought everyone loved Adele universally.
I didn't know that either.
I
I'm
didn't
saying
either.
this, and I still love her. I didn't know people didn't like her.
I love her, and I've always thought she was amazing and talented and great, and she's definitely had this like cultural ride where I feel like everyone's on board. But then I kept seeing these things where people are like, well, to people who think Adele is boring, and I'm like, is that really your only criticism?
That she's boring?
That she's boring? Because you can't say that she's untalented, she's a bad writer, she's a bad singer. Like, what could you really not like about her, right? It's like, oh, she's boring, she does the same thing. And I'm like, I strongly disagree. Like, every single album she releases has like a very clear POV. Yeah, like you said, like with Taylor, it's like we're growing up with this person and they're not writing generic ass songs.
Is it because every other pop star is like a pop star and they're like
Maybe.
performers, but her voice is so powerful she can just stand there and people are like, how dare you? I also think there's a level of fame that like once you hit a certain level, people are gonna hate you on principle. There's a group of people who just like decide to be contrarian and be like, that they're not that great.
So like as a comedian and like you, I feel like I've watched you grow up too. Like we've grown up together.
We're growing up together
in this LA comedy scene.
This fucking nightmare.
I know. But as you have grown up, like, and evolved and done different things, do you encounter a lot of haters? Like, what's your experience been there?
Oh, no. Here's the thing is that if you had asked me this literally 3 days ago, my answer would be completely different.
Oh, God.
But the Comedy Store posted a reel of mine on their page. And the comments are an atrocity. And I always thought, like, because women would be like, I've seen female comedians be like, people just hate women to hate women. And I had sort of not had, like, a hugely aggressive experience of that. So I was like, I guess, I don't know. And like men at my shows laugh. I have male fans. Frankly, if you look at my breakdown of my social media, I have more male fans than female fans, which I attribute mostly to who's brought me on the road to open for them. It's been guys that have heavy male fan bases. Those people become my fans.
Same.
Yeah. So like, great. I've never felt like I was anti-man. I don't think my material is like fuck you. And they posted a reel of a bit that like I was on shows that night. They're like, do you mind if we post a video? And I was like, sure, go ahead. The hate because it's like a riff of me, like I start telling a bit, it's about my pussy, surprise, women have pussies. Apparently some men who I assume have never been near a pussy really hate when you talk about it. But there was an old man, and you don't hear it as much in the clip, but it's just like a riff clip. There was a very old man in the crowd who laughs really obnoxiously, just had a funny laugh. And then I riff on it, and I make a joke about old men being like, I'm not used to women talking about that, like, ooh. But he was laughing the whole time. We're having fun. It was me being silly. But like the comments are like people are like, oh, this is a bit where she pretends to be a fit. Like that people thought this was like a thing I do where I like, this was an established bit and not a riff, or that like, oh, she's making fun of someone who's laughing at her. What an idiot. And like to worse and worse. And like, women aren't funny. This is garbage. Is this what the Comedy Store has become? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why am I looking at these? And I almost like, I think I replied to one and I was like, I gotta walk away. But like, it's wild, and people will tag you to be like, you fucking suck. This isn't, another woman. By the way, like, every man, and none of them are tuning into this because they're like, women. But like, for like, the irony that every man who goes, oh, another woman talking about her pussy isn't like, okay, your criticism is hacky. Like,
oh yeah,
that's also been said.
100%.
You fucking idiot. All they talk about is sex. Yeah, sorry we fuck. You know. It's just like it's a bunch of people who, and by the way, someone at the store said this to me, that they're like, oh, I gotta like tell them to delete the comments. I was like, I don't care. Let the comments fly. Like, it gets in the algorithm more, because I don't know why I looked today, because I wanted to see the number of comments. I didn't look at the comments, but I was like, did they start deleting them, or are they?
No, you're like, wait a second, you guys.
And there's like 300 comments, but I got like 500 followers from it. So I'm going like, okay, so for everyone commenting, I'm getting at least one person who saw it and was like, ooh, who's this? I want to follow them.
Right.
And that's, I think, important as an artist to focus on. It's so easy to focus on the negative. And like, you're a stand-up comedian. You know how easy it is to look at the one person who's in the crowd, like, not reacting. You're like, why don't you love me? Instead of like, okay, but there's 100 people here who are cracking up. Fuck that guy. Why would you draw attention to them? Yeah. But yeah, I was like, oh, I kind of was this moment of like, oh, have I officially made it? Like, is that like an onslaught of men? And I have my DMs turned off. I have for like a long time. If you haven't already messaged me, you can't message me. And it's just because I'm fucking overwhelmed. And I put my comments a long time ago on, if you want to comment, you have to follow me. And that was my way of being like, fucking follow me. To be honest, is like, I hate that like social media is a career currency, but it's like, or if you're going to react to something, if you need to say something in my post, you're at least going to like bump up my number. You know what I mean?
I didn't know that was a setting, and I feel ridiculous because I've like worked as an influencer for like a couple of years now, and I had no idea.
I think I only learned that's a setting because I went on a deep dive in like, what's the least
amount of random interactions
because it overwhelms me. And it's like, of course I want people to see it. I want to interact. Like, that's what social media is about, but it gets very overwhelming. And like, I mean, there was a while where I turned off my like counts. I can't see other people's like counts because I don't want to start comparing. Yeah. But like, someone tagged me on that post from the Comedy Store and was like, oh, you think you're such a badass, but you have your comments turned off. So you can, you think you're so tough. And I was like, this stranger on the internet is taking my bit as like a challenge to fight him. That's fucking, and that's when I was like, oh, people are so insane. And it's wild because I guarantee so many of those men in the comments are the kind of people who would be like, free speech. Oh, what, are you triggered, pussy? And none of them realize that they're fucking triggered. Yeah. That like something in them is so viscerally upset at a woman doing comedy. Frankly, probably half of them are like, oh, a woman's doing my dream, because they're all trying to like make a joke in the comments about like you're not going to get a spot at the store because you had a funny comment in the comment section, you fucking morons. Like, that's like, people are like, I'm going to get discovered. It's just wild. Someone DM'd my boyfriend.
Oh, what?
Someone went through my page and clearly had watched a bunch of my videos. And I have a video about, heads up, another pussy joke. Because that's what I've clipped out. And I think pussy jokes are funny. I'll never stop. I'm like all my new materials about growing up. But I'm like, oh, you think I'm never going to tell a pussy joke again? Absolutely not. But it's about how men take ownership over a woman's wet vagina. It's like, that's not you. That's like being a woman. Fucking the wind blows, you know? And a person messaged my boyfriend and was like, how does it feel to know that you don't make your girlfriend wet? And like some other shit. I don't even know. Like, he showed it to me and I was like, I don't fucking. But I was like, someone like creeped through my profile, found who I was dating, that they, by the way, assume I'm still in a relationship with. It's like, for all you know, I broke up with that guy 3 weeks ago, and now you're messaging him, and it's like, what's your goal here?
Wow.
To like, it's fucking
insane. I think you have made it, because no one's done that to me. No one's like, that I know of, has gone through my shit and stalked anyone I was dating.
It's fucking creepy to the point that I'm like, do I have to stop tagging him and stuff? Like, do I? It's also, by the way, got verified on Instagram the same night that this video came out. So I was like, oh, maybe literally that is making it. Maybe they're like, yes, enough men hate her. Give her a blue check mark. I was like, what the fuck?
That's so funny. Yeah, social media is such a weird metric and such a weird microcosm of what's going on. Like, I remember we unfollowed each other and then we like came back together.
Yeah,
and
I don't even know what happened.
I don't either.
I think I was just manically like, It's probably in the fucking same time I turned off my comments. I probably just like was just like, everyone, I can't compare myself. I've definitely gone through like, and then I've had to learn to be like, bitch, just mute. You don't not like this person. Because I'll be like, I fucking body image issues. They're hot. They're fucking like literally psycho shit where I just go, I can't see it right now.
I do the same thing. And I think the lesson that I've learned is that I need to just like mute people if I can't handle it. But yeah, there's certain times when it's like my career or I'm like working on a certain project where I can't do stand up or I can't do like things I like heavily used to relate to in terms of like, oh, this is my identity. And then I'll see people like doing a lot of stand up and I'll be like, oh, fuck this. And I'll be triggered and then I will mute them.
Yes.
Or unfollow. And I'm just like, I did that all the time. And like, I have such a better control of it now.
Oh, yeah. I just, in general, have gotten such a better handle on my mental health.
Yeah.
I was fucking just nuts. And it's the same thing. And it's like, it doesn't, when I really examine so many of those times, it's like, it has nothing to do with them. I'm like, oh, this is for me to like try to protect my brain. Because the other thing in LA is like, if an opportunity came my way for acting or writing, of course, like I would take it.
Yeah.
At my core, I do not give a fuck about doing anything except stand up. I love stand up. That's like where I feel like my medium is. I think that's where I'm supposed to be. And I would do all those other things to like supplement income, to raise my, audience reach, to do more stand up. But in LA, it's for me, I don't want to say in LA, but like for me, it's easy to get into this. Oh, I should be doing that. I should be trying to do more of that. Seeing my friends succeed in these avenues that like I don't actually give a shit about for myself. But I go, oh, I mean, this person's also, they're doing a lot of commercials. Oh, this person's, they're, producing their own thing. I should do a web series. And I'm like, what am I doing?
No, 100%. Like I've totally done the same thing. And I wonder like how much of that has derailed like what I'm actually supposed to do.
Yeah, the focus, it's like now I'm just adding things to my plate to distract myself from the work that I want to do.
Yeah, or
it's like an avoidance.
Yeah, to feel like competitive or something. And it's like, but for what? For who?
Yeah, to measure up to like this other person's idea of success.
Yeah.
And like that's had to be a thing that like I've had to work on because it gets in my head of like, why haven't I tried to do more of this? Or people are like, why wouldn't you just go for this? Well, and, we obviously get that from like people not in industry who are just like, why don't you just be on a TV show? And you're like, yes, okay.
I'll do that next.
Yes, I'll do that tomorrow. But like, yeah, it's easy for me to like absorb. I should go after, like, why do I want to go after somebody else's dream?
Yeah. But you know what I love about you, and it's been so fun watching your journeys because I love that you know that you're a stand-up. Like this is what you want to do. But you really follow your creative impulses. I've seen you like do so many experimental things, like, from Keep It 100 News to writing a country song to like podcasting and stuff like that. Like I've seen you be so like fearless in terms of what you're willing to try and the venues that you experiment in.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really do love that because I think that it's like you're so like open to doing these other things. And whether like they don't last forever or not, whatever. But like, you know what I mean? It's like you do it.
Yeah. Some of it's probably like ADHD. There's some things that like I mean, literally was texting. It's so funny you said Keep 100 News. That was like years ago. But I put something on I put something on my Instagram recently, like a flashback. And I was texting Dana like, dude, why didn't we keep doing this? This was so much fun. And it's just one of those things where you're just like, the amount of things that I'm like, if I hadn't burned out on that, where would it be?
Right.
Or like hadn't just, boop, I'm going to do something else. I don't have time. But thank you for saying that. Because that's something I also try to lean into. Like I also did a one-woman show in Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, oh, are my stand-up peers going to be like, one-woman show? That's fucking. But I was like, no, fuck that. I'm going to lean into it. And that's something that like I try to keep I try to not let the fear of failing or let some sort of weird ego thing of trying to just be a cool stand-up comedian only get in the way of, no, I have this idea. I want to roll with it.
Yeah.
And like, it's so hard because I don't know, everything feels so measury, and maybe social media probably plays into that, where it's like, oh, if something's not amazing, is it a failure? If it's not like the presses are talking about this special or whatever, it's like, oh, was it like a flop because I didn't get a New York Times article or whatever. But I think we're all walking, anyone who's in the creative field is walking this line of, okay, you leaned into something that was at some point possibly an outlet for you, for your feelings, for your emotions. And now you've taken that thing that was like a freedom and where you express yourself. And you're like, this is how I survive and make money. So this balance of keeping it keeping it relatable enough because you have to survive in a capitalist society, but also being willing to take a step out and do some things that are like, this might not be the thing that pays the bills with like my creativity. But I think I don't know. I think there's so much growth in creativity if you allow it to happen. And it's like, I also think there's just growth in failure. So risking that is so fucking scary because nobody wants to feel like something flopped or like their thing sucks. But I don't know who said this, but I was watching something or listening to an audiobook once about how like adults, we get conditioned to, if you're not good at something, you just say, you like don't quote do it. Like if you asked a group of kindergartners, who in here is a painter, you know, or like who in here likes to sing? Who's a singer? Like everyone would raise, you know, they'd, oh, I love that, you know, and they're like, you look at their fucking shitty drawings in kindergarten, they're all crap. They all suck, except for like one kid who's a prodigy. But you're just like, I do that. And as an adult, you're like, I don't. So I try to be like, if I have an impulse or like an idea and I think it's interesting, it's like, yeah, roll with it. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, question. Could you ever do something creative, whether it was writing a song or a short story or something, okay, and just do it for you and not release it into the world?
I'm trying to work on that.
Really? I don't know if I could do it.
Me
I'd
neither.
want to release it.
Yeah, but I'm like, what is that compulsion of like, if I could do something just for me, would I get more satisfaction or more out of it in terms of internal growth than feeling like everything has to be a piece of content?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if I could do it, but because I have that instinct of, I'll have literally an idea in my list, a sentence, and then go, I should start a new podcast. And it's like, why? Why are we doing that? Why can't I just fucking journal and write things down? But I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that is like the instinct is, oh, how do I turn this into something for the audience? Which is wild. And then you become, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I overshare. I feel like I'm a gaping wound. Just like, this is my brand. And we're having fun. It's just like a public emotional roller coaster. But I don't know. I think it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering, like, if I could legitimately write a script and just be like, this is just for me. I have no intention of selling it. I'm not going to send it to my managers or my agents. This is just for me. And just out of curiosity, would that be any different than something that I would write with the intention to put out into the world that other people are going to read?
Yeah. You know, or would you get more personal? Or would you like,
would I feel more free?
Yeah. Because because that is the thing of like letting go of, I'm like giving yourself the freedom of, I'm just writing this for me and what feels right to me, versus having that at least subconscious feeling of, it needs to be something that somebody wants to buy. Mm-hmm. And even if you're pretty good at like putting yourself in something and being vulnerable and open in your writing, there is always that little bit of, what are the people who are paying for things looking for?
Oh my God. I can relate to that so much because there was a point in my stand-up where I was so uncomfortable going more than 3 lines without a laugh that I couldn't tell a story on stage. And now I've like the past like 2 years I've switched, and now I just want to tell stories.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. And
That's
I had
amazing.
to get comfortable with not getting the laugh. And I was like, that's the thing. That's the buy, right? Like that's the thing that I think the audience wants.
Is like that immediate investment.
Yeah. They want to joke. They want to joke. They want to joke. It does kind of interrupt the story, but whatever, I'm going to alter it so that it's palatable for them. But I saw this Rick Rubin quote that really blew my mind, and I might butcher it, but I think he said, the best way to serve an audience is to ignore them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like what makes anyone's art or creation so great is like their voice and how they're bringing themselves to it. And in my opinion, obviously art is subjective. Art is, it's all garbage, whatever. I don't know. Like, it's like everything's art, nothing's art. I don't know. But like, yeah, you bringing your authentic self is what makes the story you're telling so relatable. Because someone can see you in it. They see themselves in your experience. So the more you can be raw and real and tell like the whole truth, I feel like I think that's where the great stories come from. These great pieces that we all like know and love and become these historic things have let go of trying to give the audience what they want. And that's been an ongoing quest for me of like, and a little of that is for sure like child of an alcoholic, people pleasing, just like empath, but it's trauma, anticipating people's needs and how they're going to react, which I think helps drive my comedy. Like it definitely helps me on stage, but letting go of trying to anticipate what you want and changing what I'm going to say based on that.
Yeah.
Or you being the audience. And instead going, well, this is what I'm going to say. This is what I think is funny, and trusting your abilities and trusting like you are a good storyteller. You are a good writer. You don't have to go, what do they want? You're like, I'm going to tell my story and fucking it's for someone. And if it's not, well, whatever.
Then it's for you.
It's for you. You got it off your chest.
Then it's for you. It's for you and the $30 you got paid for that show.
I know. I kind of think that if I was ever going to really try to do art that was just for me, it would have to be in a medium that isn't isn't adjacent to my field. Yeah. Like I keep being like, I'm going to start painting. And then it's like, am I?
Well, you've mentioned that a couple times in the show, so I think there is something in your body, in your heart, that wants you to paint.
You know what I think it is that like I know I would be garbage at it. And so it's like, it's so freeing. And then I look at it and it's like, what do I do with this now piece of shit that I have painted?
You could start with Bob Ross, really. Have you ever done a Bob Ross
Oh, yeah.
painting?
I was doing, a couple of years ago, I did a show on Twitch, a live stream called Slob Ross, where I would bring on a guest who was an actual artist, and we would make a drink, and we would get shit-faced and try to follow Bob Ross. Have you done Bob Ross?
Yes.
Dude, he's a speed painter, though.
I know. I had to stop at a pause.
You don't know until you paint along. You're like, oh, this guy's a fucking, like...
I know. He's so fast. I think it took me like 2.5 hours to do what he did in an hour. And also, I don't know all the colors. I was like, what is phthalo blue? Like crimson. I was like, what the hell? Right? So it's like that learning curve, and then actually like doing it. And you're like, this is taking me way longer than that.
But it does feel good. I once painted a canvas black because I was going to like glue something on. It was like a joke gift for a friend.
Okay.
But I was like, why does this feel so good? And I don't think I was like, it feels really morbid because it was black. But like, I think painting is something that when you're in it, it's just one of those things that becomes like naturally meditative because you have to be like present in whatever you're doing. And I think it's not the painting that was good. It was the me not thinking about 800 other things that felt good. But I needed like a thing to focus on.
One time I did a live stream Twitch show called Sour Kool-Aid, and I painted a painting that was like a gradient from like pink to gray. I actually thought it was really dope.
I love that.
And they auctioned it off and someone bought the painting for $1,000, but they wanted one of my socks with it. And I was like, oh, sweet. I just sold a sock for $1,000.
Yeah, you're like, you don't give a fuck about this painting. You have a foot fetish.
I got a sock. Someone wanted my sock for $1,000 fucking dollars. I do have really cute feet, though.
I have cute feet too.
Yeah.
Oh, I have sold things from my feet.
Really?
What
have you sold? What have you sold?
I sold shoes. I had one guy who was like obsessed with my feet and I think had like a weird manic compulsive spending money on foot picture problem. So I'd send him like videos, pictures. I've like sent people socks. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so have you ever done like a Japanese or is it a Korean beauty foot peel?
No.
Okay, they're amazing. You can get them on Amazon. My friend has this company, Barefoot Scientist. Actually, she has a really good one called Reboot. But you can get them like anywhere, right? So basically what happens is you wear these booties, and then over the next like week, all your feet skin, like it starts coming off, but a lot and all over.
Whoa.
It's really gross. But I made the mistake of posting the results of this.
Oh.
Yeah. And I had someone offer to also buy my dead skin from my foot.
That's fucking...
And I was like, would I do this? Like, how do I really feel about this?
You know what's so funny is that, like, ethically, morally, I don't have a problem with it. Where I get weird is, like, conspiracy brain is like, can you, like, get my DNA from
clone
that?
me?
Yeah. Or, like, or somehow, like, frame me in a murder
right?
or something where you're just like, can you somehow find out where I live because you have a piece of my skin? Or, like... That's where I get hung up.
Right.
Like, otherwise, I would sell socks and underwear all day. Just fucking boop, boop, boop. Take it. Give me your money.
Are you on WikiFeet?
I am.
Me too. And I'm like, this is so strange. I don't know.
So weird.
I don't know who put me there either.
Yeah. And then recently, I don't know. The last time I looked, I've looked twice. The first time I found out I was there. And then the last time, I think I'd like gone down half a star. And I was like, oh my God.
What's your score?
Is it out of 5? I think I'm 4.5.
I think it's out of 10.
Then that's not good. I'm high. I know
Okay.
I'm high. And I'm like, wow, what a sad thing for me to have to cling to. And I'm like seeing my friends like bikini bodies. And I'm like, well, at least I have a high WikiFeet score. Just blowing my nose into a sock and then trying to sell it on Craigslist or whatever. Fuck.
That's a flex, though. Come on. People like your feet. That's like a thing. That's a whole
There's
community.
a whole community.
There's power in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe at least like a little bit of money in it. I don't know. But I'm not opposed to that at all. I've even thought, because like I do on Instagram, and I have slowed down for no other reason other than pure laziness. But when I go visit a city, I'll take a picture with no pants on in front of a landmark. And I've gone like, what if I like started selling specifically the underwear from those pictures and was like, hey, these are the San Francisco underwear. Who wants them? Like, I'll like start a bid war or like. And literally the only thing that has stopped me from even doing, like, moving forward on that is that my boyfriend's mom follows me on Instagram, and I don't think she would care, but I feel like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
She already fucking has to see my pussy jokes in her timeline. I want to be like, who wants to buy my panties? And she'll be like, what are you doing with this maniac?
She's probably like, you're probably the most free person he's ever dated. You know?
Probably.
And I'm sure that there's some level of the mom that appreciates that.
And she's an artist. She's like a kooky
Yeah.
artist. So I think she actually like does. She like gets me.
She gets it.
Like I'm like, oh, we're cut from the same cloth almost, you know? So I do think it's fine. And he's also a drummer. So it's like, well, at least I'm not like a heroin addict who just lives in Indiana that he brought home one day, you know? What can you do?
Yeah, man. Speaking of Indiana, so we were talking about doing
What a
road stuff.
sentence.
I know, right? Speaking of Cracker Barrel and
my
crackers, there's a lot of crackers in Indiana.
Yeah, the clubs and the people.
The clubs, the people, and the restaurant chains. But
Yes.
so you were talking about like things that you've learned about going on the road and kind of like your boundaries and your priorities and where you're kind of at with your journey.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to you about that because it sounds like you're like leveling up, like you're in this like phase where it's like you're bumping up slowly. And
you're right. Like, and
Yeah.
I am, and I need to like accept that and step into it. That's been a work for me because I have crazy self-worth issues, and I don't think that's very common. I think for people, especially in comedy, to be like, whatever, you know, oh, I'm just happy to be here. And, oh, you know, how lucky am I that you're willing to book me? And so I have neglected raising my value monetarily for a long time on like the things I say yes to on the road. Like I started out and it's like, all right, I'll go from town to town to these little like, and I do like kooky bar shows, couple $100, and that's like fine, that's normal, whatever, when you're doing these like one-offs. But realizing that like I make enough money in town and I have enough value that like I don't have to say yes to everything. Like and I always knew that I wanted to do the road. Like I've always known that my goal is stand-up comedy. I want to build audiences. So there was early in my career, and I don't think that this is bad, or like I wouldn't recommend against this, but like I was okay breaking even a couple cities if I was making enough, you know, with other work. Obviously you can't, like, I have to pay bills and I don't have a trust fund or like a parent I can call and be like, my rent, you know? So like within reason, but it's like, or making just a little bit of money to get in front of the club and be like, here's who I am, book me later. And I said yes to a few things this year that it was like not really great money, but I think coming out of COVID, I was like, I don't want to be forgotten, because that was my fear when COVID happened, was like, arena comics are going to go to theaters, theater comics are going to come to clubs. Where I was and still am in the club world is I would say I'm the lower tier of headliners, where like if there's a fallout, they call me, or a weird off weekend and the club happens to see my stuff and they think I'm funny and they like are like, we want to bring you in, not because we think you're going to fill seats. That's like, I'm not, none of my social media is so big that I'm a quote star that it's just going to pack out, you know, but we like what you do. We want to build your audience here. So it's just like lower level. And of course, like all of those clubs are businesses. They have to make money. They'd all been shut down for a year. So I was like, I'm fucked. No one's going to book me. And what I know now is, yes, they are. Like, I didn't get less funny. I'm not less valuable than I was.
Yeah.
And also, arena comics went back to arenas. Like, it's fine. Like, everything opened back up. You know, within reason, it's different from city to city, but it feels like for the most part, people are like, let's just die. Who cares? So it was interesting coming out of quarantine and going like, I'm just going to still reach out to these places, and people going, absolutely. And forgetting that, like, I have grown as an artist. My reach, my abilities, like how people perceive me as like skill set, or, you know, I don't know if like fame level is the word I want to use, but, you know, just like what I'm bringing to the table as far as ability and draw and what people are looking for. Yeah.
It's like any other job where you would get promoted per se.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I watched a lot of, because I was spiraling going, who am I? What am I going to be? I mean, I took like a course in cognitive behavioral therapy, not like doing it with people. Like I was spiraling. I was like, I'm going to have to find another industry. So I watched all these like business development and listened to these podcasts and followed these interviewed women who like have built their own brands and been like, what's that? What? But listen to other women talk about like my boundaries and like, you know, knowing your worth and refusing to like bend on it. And I don't think this is uncommon either. I think a lot of women, we are not as good at negotiating as men because we're not socialized to think that we can be or whatever. Yeah. And I definitely think the culture's shifting, but for me, it was like at no point when somebody offered me, we can pay you this much, until this year, had I ever gone, actually my rate is this. Could you do that? Never. I would just go, okay, or just be like, I'm not available. Mm-hmm. And it was like this fear of, if I asked for more, and this comes from, for sure, just like socialization, but absolutely growing up in an abusive household, that if I had the audacity to go, actually, could you do this much? I can't really make it work unless it's this much. That it wouldn't just be, we can't make it work. It would go, how fucking dare you? Mm-hmm. You should be so lucky. Like that it would just fucking, this person would hate me. That door would close forever. Yeah. So I started going, hey, this is my rate. And what I've learned is like, literally no one is going to go, fuck you. and also like some of the doors are occasionally closed for now, but none of them are closed. Like they just go, and I also learned this from talking to bigger comedians, that people go, we don't have that budget right now, but like, we'll get back to you. Mm-hmm. And some of those places did get back to me. And even better, a lot of the places where I went, actually, this is my rate. Can you do that? Some of them would come back and go, we can't do that, but we could, and they would meet me in the middle. Or they would go, yeah, we can make that happen. And going like, oh, all I had to do was ask. Mm-hmm. And I'm not dying. It's like, also, if something is underneath the value of what your value is to like go somewhere, you shouldn't be saying yes to it. Yeah. Like you're not helping yourself by going, actually, fuck me. I'll just take $100 and go and have to buy a flight or like whatever fucking bullshit offers you're getting. Like you're hurting yourself in the long run, because they're going to be like, okay, so this person will work for nothing. And it's like, for what? Also, if you're really good and you have confidence in your ability, and that's where I'm very grateful to be now, is that like, if someone goes like, well, we can't pay you that much right now. This is the amount we have in our budget. I just go, cool. And like, I'm not going to lose my fans because I don't come to your city this year. No one knows I was talking to you. And also like, okay, eventually I'll be worth twice what I just asked you for, 3 times that, whatever. Like, I just go like, cool, I'll get there for you. And then we'll see if I come to your venue or not. No, I'm just but yeah, it's just going, I'm going to be okay. And that like, you don't have to settle has been a really cool lesson for me.
Yeah, it's so hard. I went through something kind of similar where I had to express some needs of mine where I felt like, you know, a business situation was out of alignment, basically.
Yeah.
And I had so much anxiety about even expressing myself.
Yes.
Like, I wasn't even thinking about what the reaction would be. I was just nervous about, like, what am I going to say? How do I say it? Like, and I was just like, and everyone I talked to 2 men on the phone before I had to have this conversation. And they were both like, you know what to say.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you just say what you need.
I do, but can I rehearse it with you?
Can I practice?
No, for real. And
well,
I'm
and
just like, it's literally 3 sentences, you know?
And you know what? Is also like the other person usually gets it. Like, I think I also have this fear of, especially if you're in a business dealing situation. I've done things where I'm working with friends and you're like, I got to move on. Or like, I got this other thing. I got to, it's like this other thing came up, so I have to pause this. And that's like, I don't want you to take it personally. And then like you finally say it and they're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I totally understand. And you go, oh, I've been having a panic attack for 3 weeks being like, I don't know how to tell you I don't have time for this thing we're not making money on anymore. And they're like, yeah, no, of course. And you're like, oh, it was fine the whole time.
It's totally cool.
Great. And like, no one's going to hate you. No one's going to be like, and also in the rare instances, every once in a while, there is a complete lunatic who maybe will go, well, fuck you. You don't want to work with that person anyway.
Yeah,
that's a maniac. That person probably wasn't going to pay you the original thing that they, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's a psychopath. I don't want to work with psychopaths.
Yeah, that's not a good fit.
No. If that is the worst case scenario, and worst case scenario is that you get to learn you just dodged a huge bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, oh, thank God. I said that I needed more.
No, for real. And you know what I've noticed too, and I think I've like learned this over the past week, is that after you express yourself and you're kind of like, okay, how is this going to go? And then I was like waiting for some like responses and reactions. I was like, there's nothing that could be said to me that I could not handle.
Yeah.
Like, not a thing.
I know. It's like we've been through so much worse.
Yeah, so much worse. Like being a woman on the internet, being a comedian, like failing publicly as part of being a comedian, you know, like not getting things that I really, really in my heart like wanted and knew I was right for. I've been through all of that.
Yeah, and that's a mind fuck.
Oh, it's a complete mind fuck. But like what someone says or what someone's reaction is to me, something that I'm able to express myself eloquently, respectfully, you know, kindly.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's either going to be rational or irrational.
And I'm going to survive it.
And I'll be okay.
Your response is not going to kill me.
No.
And also, there is no, and I like for anyone listening to this who is like specifically trying to be in entertainment, there is no one opportunity that's going to make or break you. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are, like, in theory, I guess, like making, if you got a fucking crazy huge movie that blew up, yes, that will like blow you up to another level. You saying no to something, you getting passed on something, it is not closing the entire door to your dreams. It is one thing. You didn't get this TV show. I didn't get fucking staffed on this writing. It's not like, I guess I'll never get staffed anywhere. My career is over. And that's what your brain can tell you sometimes when you really put your eggs in a basket of like, I really want this. Because it's hard to let yourself want something.
Yeah.
But also if you don't let yourself want something, you don't give. That's what I found is like the things that I go, I'll take it or leave it. It's like, I'm not going to give you my best effort if I don't really want it. Mm-hmm. So I have to let myself be like, actually, I really would like to be hired on this show.
Yeah.
So that I'll give you the best presentation. And then you have to deal with someone rejecting the best you could bring to the table. But it's not like your career's not over because you didn't book a thing. And it's like, okay, it's sad, grieve it, absolutely. But knowing that like there's 8 million doors and they're not all going to be closed forever.
Right.
Like you just keep, all right, next door.
And if anyone tells you, if anyone out here is listening, trying to get an entertainment, to piggyback off of that idea, if anyone tells you that there's one way to do something, run. Because with the way that media and entertainment is changing, like there's so many ways to accomplish something or to move down a path that'll get you to your goal or your dream.
And there's so much in your own hands that you can really like
100%
grab onto and experiment with and try to take control of.
Yeah. And if people are in your orbit telling you that there's one way, like those are people that are honestly probably projecting the way that they feel about their own situation. And it's possible to do things and to accomplish things like in new, novel ways, creative ways, different outlets. Like do your thing, try different shit. Be like Jessica Michelle.
Yeah, throw shit at the wall. Watch most of it fall and then hope something sticks.
No, you're crushing it. And I got you a present from Ease.
Oh my God, thank you.
I bought you a little
astronaut. I'm a big space nerd, so that's
a little CBD tonic.
Oh my God, look at this.
From a female-founded brand.
Okay, Mad Lily.
Mad Lily.
I see you. Lemon Dream. To support sleep, I need this because I've been doing later sets at the store again. And it's like you got so in 2020 got so used to being like, I guess it's bedtime, and now I'm like, now it's time to work. That adrenaline after sets is like hard.
Yeah.
I'm not normally someone who's like without that, who has a lot of trouble sleeping, but when you come off of like 10:30, 11:30 and you have like a fun set, oh my God, that calm down.
I know.
We're just killing ourselves with fucking highs and lows. I love it.
It's the only way to
tonight. Yes. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And thank you so much for coming on Hot Pizza Ass. I feel like I could talk to you for like so much longer than the studio time that I have rented. So.
Yeah. We have to get the fuck out. They're like, move it, bitch.
Yeah, but thank you so much.
Thanks
and where
me.
People where they follow you, where they see you.
I am at JMS Comedy on all the big social media, jmscomedy.com. I'm touring some places, so like check out my calendar, jmscomedy.com/shows. I'm bringing my stand-up. I'm bringing my musical to a few places. I'm co-writing a musical, so it's like it's a workshop 2-person version right now because we want to make it a full stage, but I'm gonna do a live stream of that on Christmas Eve. It's a Christmas musical. Yeah, at JMS Comedy.
There you go.
Find me.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Hot Pizza Ass Podcast. Be sure to follow Jessica Michelle on all of her social media platforms and definitely check out a show if she's touring in your area. Also, feel free to write us a review. That's exactly how we grow, and that is how more people find this. Or if you love Jessica Michelle or this podcast, send this episode to someone you care about. Maybe they'll enjoy it. Also, be sure to check out Ease and use my code DARLING30 at checkout. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.